This is definitely going to be one to remember, everybody. I mean, this matchup itself is one that we're all looking forward to. And it's been a blast to just see them duke it out, try out some things, play things they play well, and experiment in ways that we found really surprising over the course of this tournament. We're getting into it now.
Ooh.
Curious to see if they're going to go straight for that early pick, Sam.
Oh, they caught Pikaboo inside of the rock slide. They were able to root them down, and that's going to stop Pika from being able to set up their CC chain that they look for and wing buffet them back around. Pika is being knocked up in the air by an upheaval, and already so much pressure being put out onto Pika that they're forced to use the Cloak of Shadow so early on into this engagement, and now the Howling Blast has been used. Team Liquid is not feeling any of that pressure, though. They come out of this on the other side without needing to use any of their trinkets, and now we're finally seeing the Golden Guardians go happen, but the power infusion has been expended. Pika looking towards any target that they can, but it becomes so much more difficult in this way that Team Liquid is rescuing, bringing themselves out of that Pika is on the attack, needing to readjust constantly.
Absolutely, they cannot seem to get a good angle. They're getting tossed up into the air. Those ice chains getting them. Pikaboo barely stays alive through that, but is able to, thanks to some quick healing and some quick movement, get into a better position. In return, goes ahead and tosses out a gouge on Mez. They're chaining as much as they can over there, trying to just shut down and halt this momentum that Team Liquid is gaining here as they just layer on this damage, getting Pikaboo down low again, not yet having to pop that evasion, but it is looking really difficult for them. GG is taking a lot of hits. Team Liquid decided that they were going to be the ones that were going to come in swiftly and definitively and just go aggressive with this comp. So far, everybody is stabilizing, but we are seeing that, funnily enough, between the two, Sea-Doo does have a bit less mana. Sturge now taking a good amount of damage, falling back behind this, getting some heals out, able to get that pressure off. They're doing just fine, but WizK instead is going into the crosshairs. Pikaboo finally having to pop that evasion as well. They are having to blow through a lot here. WizK suffering through those ice chains as they slowly move around the center of the arena. There's a lot happening. Sea-Doo gets that rescue out and is repositioning. The mobility on Team Liquid is definitely not an issue here on this map.
No, it's not, and so far for them, it's been picture-esque. Everything that they've been wanting to go right has been going right. Now you've drawn out the major cooldown of the dispersion. Absurge has only the one more blessing of protection, but Sacrifice has come back up, especially if Pika is able to continue to apply pressure onto Trill, assassinate, and get them the win. But Mez has come back in a heroic effort. We're seeing all of the CC being expended here, and now the blessing of Sacrifice. Wiz was in such a scary moment, but not going down just yet. The power infusion has been given over to Pika. They need to be able to get the kill here, but the kill is not going to be happening. Pika stuck inside of that, and now we're getting a glorious look at Trill hitting out on the eruption. Pika rotating back over, wanting to start fighting it out with Sea-Doo. Wiz is now starting to get absolutely blasted away in the health as Mez returning their attention onto this Shadow Priest. And for Team Liquid, the way that things are going into their favor, the cooldowns and the resources that they're drawing out against Golden Guardians, it feels like they are in control, at least for the moment.
Team Liquid has drawn out so many of those, Sam. I mean, they really have put GG at the disadvantage here, but Sea-Doo is not looking so good himself, taking a lot of damage there, able to still get through this, not having to pop anything, still sitting on his scales. There goes that scales now, though, because they are definitely starting to feel it. That heat is not letting up. Mez being shut down temporarily with that gouge, sitting still on the trinkets over on Team Liquid. They have them all, so they can use them if they need. They may need to, but so far their cooldowns are looking generally better. We have that kidney shot going over onto Trill, gonna ride that out the full duration. We have that cheap shot hitting Sea-Doo. They know that this is a longer game. Hammer falls on Mez. They're not popping those still. They are riding them out and trying to return this damage as much as they can. And right now, both teams looking all right, but that mana is getting lower and lower over on Absurge with GG.
Even though the mana gets low, as long as the rest of Golden Guardians are able to get the kill, they can happen so fast at a moment's notice that Team Liquid isn't going to be really able to do anything about it, especially if you control Sea-Doo and prevent them from being close to Trill. But these evokers stick so close together that Pika is finding difficulties there. Mez on the other side of the map, the repentance has happened. This is going to be safety for Golden Guardians until they right back over, and the power infusion is going to take away that is going to be the safety net for Team Liquid, and the ways that we're seeing the Evokers protect each other is immaculate here. And now Mez regrouped with their team is going to death grip in. Wiz is popping the Howling Blast, going to force a trinket out on top of that from Wiz, making them use the dispersion, and Absurge on top of that, you bubbling out towards that safety. Golden Guardians now feeling like they're on the back foot and potentially could be breathing their last gasp unless they find that next go to them very soon.
They've got to get that go. They cannot get any of these. They're not landing the kills with these infusions because of how well Team Liquid is playing. The ways that they are keeping themselves together, moving around the map, staying as this unit. These two Evokers just absolutely having each other's backs and carrying each other through this fight, literally at times as they do these rescues. It's powerful to see. Both teams right now kind of taking a moment here as they line up what's coming up next. We see those CCs flying out, the cheap shots hitting Team Liquid. We don't have the infusion up yet over on GG, so whether or not they're going to go for this go, that anti-magic pops up here as Trill and Sea-Doo again hang together. Mez getting that gouge on them, but still in the fight, everyone is still looking fine. These CCs are really doing nothing more than just kind of hindering, hampering, trying to kind of slow down the pace as GG buys some time as they try to get some of these cooldowns back, as they look ahead to the next infusion. But right now, I mean, there's a lot going on them. WizK getting those ice chains, feeling that pressure as Mez, again, continues to just keep them corralled, doing what a DK does best and controlling that field, even if they can't cover a huge amount of ground. WizK now getting lower, a lot of things having to pop out. We still have a few over with Surge. That bop is still active, might need to be used, but it seems like it's going to be okay right now. WizK stabilizing there, popping a defensive of their own, and able to make it through.
Able to make it through. Wiz, it was a moment of a desperate prayer. It's keeping them alive and in this, and now the power infusion. Pika needs to look towards maybe something happening here in tandem with Wiz. Control Mez out and let the rest of the damage happen onto Trill and Sea-Doo, but both of the Evokers are doing an excellent job at not falling under that pressure just yet. Trill back over in conjunction with Sea-Doo, who's now been caught inside of the kidney shot, but Trill has nothing left!
Oh.
And once it happened right there, no trinkets to save them. Sea-Doo caught inside of that kidney shot. That is it for Team Liquid. The Voker falling to the efforts of the Golden Guardians, and now they are in this lower finals.
Here, do we want to do like an over-under for the length of this matchup? It's always fun to do that when you see a lot of dampening games in a row. I'm going to predict like 13 minutes.
Oh, I'm going to predict
minutes. Ooh, okay.
11. I don't know why.
11.
I'm feeling it.
Okay. Sam,
I'm being optimistic. I'm gonna go 10.
10. All right. Let us
Yeah,
know in chat what you think.
They're pushing in already on this map, coming in, closing in, trying to meet here in the middle. Pika is just immediately going for those back lines, has just their sights fixed over Next, but is a little bit deterred here at the entryway as Next and Swapsy kind of set up camp back there, getting that CC out, getting that gouge on Swapsy for a second, able to kind of get a little bit of pressure. Next has to use that gate, getting out of the way, popping those wings, trying to make sure that they can get out of range. Jamie, however, taking some huge damage here. That cheap shot hitting them, a lot of life being expended, although again, they've been able to kind of counter this. No trinkets used yet over on Admiral's Esports, and even though they were pushed out of their initial setup position, they will definitely still have plenty of fight in them.
Yeah, and it's all about making sure that you have that fight in you to continue to keep going. Next is going to be gouged out, slow things down here for a moment, but a Thunder Wave is going to prevent Pika from hammering Jamie too hard down into the ground. Another fear is going to be happening into a Haj. Pika stuck on that as Wiz is running around being this frog on the ground, but we're not really seeing Admiral's Esports suffering without too much protection or cover than what we were imagining they would be. Golden Guardians still does have this sarcophagus that they can play with, and Wiz is putting out the Void Torn onto Jamie. Swapsy realizing now that they have to go in and try to fight this here, but Pika has reoriented themselves and blinded out Jamie. That cheap shot is continuing to go through as the static field draws them right in. Next, isolated and away by themselves. The Blessing of Sacrifice having to be popped as well as the Divine Protection. They get away, but hammered down and a lot being expended to make that happen.
That was a ton of cooldowns on Next. And as we know, Admiral's Esports, they like to play this longer game. They like to conserve those as much as possible. So that really forced Next into a bad spot, but great plays over from GG, particularly isolating and keeping Jamie away from the fight. Jamie's not away from the fight now, coming in though, and giving Pika a little run for his money as they kind of duke it out in the corner. Pika getting knocked back, continuously taking this damage from these demons that are on the field as well. Up here on the sarcophagus, we have a little bit of dancing back and forth as the group tries to figure out where they're going to really clash. WizK now taking the focus. They've got a lot of things that they can unload when they're ready here for this big damage burst, but it looks like they're just focusing on staying alive right now. Jamie does get that kidney shot. It lands over on them and straight into the cheap shot as well. Here comes the damage. They are popping everything. They are really going to be trying to lay it on over on GG, but Admiral's Esports is not, they are not intimidated by that infusion. They are not intimidated by this assault. They are holding steady, and it doesn't look like they're going anywhere.
No, it doesn't. They're going to firmly root themselves down into the ground and weather the storm of this power infusion go from Golden Guardians. It's Swapsy on the mound right next to the sarcophagus, but the Thunder Wave is going to push them all back and find Jamie a moment to look towards more opportunities to get out of there. It's Pika that's continuously on this, trying to get in between these two casters and interrupt and cause chaos as much as this rogue possibly can. And they've done a fantastic job of that over and over, especially with the shadow dance. They go back into it, another kidney shot, the static field drawing Next back into it over and over again. Blessing of sacrifice being committed. Absurge out inside of a full fat fear, but not feeling or reeling from it at all whatsoever, as we see Next going back towards the spawn room, really trying to find anywhere that they can go to find and get that safety that they need. Another fear is going to happen onto Wiz, but Wiz is not going to take that line down, getting out of it and looking towards continuing the fight once more, applying the vampiric touch and putting out the void torrent. Look at how much it is doing towards Jamie, who has to try and use whatever they can in the pocket, but a sap is going to slow Next down, and Jamie might be taken out of this. They are indeed the Golden Guardians, looking to close things out in a record pace against Admiral's Esports. They've done it. They have accelerated the pace, and they have punched themselves into the grand finals.
We're going to be starting that game right now. It is the final game here in the grand finals. Dukamavide versus Golden Guardians.
This is going to be a big one. Sam and I both too excited to just start this match.
We just want to go for it.
Oh, we just want to do this. Sam, you take it away.
All right, everything on the line here for both of these teams. It is a 3-3. Pika now in this gouge, the Frost Orb on top of them, the blind to go along with it, everything on top of it, but Pika is going to weather their way through it just fine with that Blessing of Sacrifice, but all of the cooldowns being put on top of them. Pika with that early trinket is now starting to feel the effects of that, and Dukamavide is starting to really find their footing once more, especially with Wealthy Man on the stairway.
Wealthy Man coming down here on the stairs, going to this lower ground, getting a lot of damage. Those wings were on them, though, trying to just survive this. I mean, they have plenty in their back pocket, but they're just trying to get things out. That Ring of Fire does go down. They get the polymorph off over on Absurge. Pika as well, suffering that kidney shot, leaving them a little bit open here as they try to get in, but Wealthy Man is far more open to these attacks, taking that cheap shot immediately, getting locked out again. They're just trying to absolutely layer on the damage, put it on. Blinding Face getting gouged as well, cutting off that healing, trying to make sure that they are getting Blinding Face locked down so that Wealthy Man is left vulnerable. Calvish is left more vulnerable. That kidney shot also hitting Blinding Face. But Pika, again, as they charge in, as they come in here to do these attacks, oftentimes being right on the front lines, WizK taking a huge amount of that damage as well as they try to just get some out on Wealthy Man. Wealthy Man has had to pop that blur. It's on cooldown. We see that now, but the ice block is still there and is able to be used. Trinket as well over on Wealthy Man, really trying to make sure that he's got what he needs in case he needs to make a clutch escape. Calvish taking a bunch of damage here as they turn the tides over here, trying to just get out to a different target and return it. WizK, though, still, as always, just taking a lot, but as we know with that Shadow Priest, they are able to do just as much in return. Feeling that pressure, though, having to go ahead and try to just keep themselves alive and sustained even through this assault that Dukamavide is just unleashing on them right now.
Yeah, it is an assault that Dukamavide has, but it's an assault that the Golden Guardians are seemingly weathering just fine, especially for Absurge. The Blessing of Protection still on cooldown for them to use. The Blessing of Sacrifice can't be said the same for, but Calvish hiding out behind the crates along with the rest of Dukamify, going to stun out Pika, and along with the Psychic Screen, put out even more there. Wiz almost dipping into dangerously low territories, but back up to full is not going to go down just so easily. Absurge, however, might be in the very dangerous place for them. The bubble needed to be committed. Calvish gets over onto the other side, but right into their death. The Golden Guardians are going to come out of this, your grand champions, and it was over just like that.
Yeah, absolutely. We can take a look at our journey today. I mean, Golden Guardians, like it's not often that you see, you know, it's definitely not uncommon that you see teams battle it out from the lower bracket and win, you know, in the grand finals, but it's more rare to see them get dropped in the first game.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jesus. What was going on today, ladies and gents? We got the dub, man. Who would have ever thought we got the win, ladies and gents? We took out everybody. Guys, how are you all doing today? Feeling today? I've been sitting in my chair since 11 a.m. I've eaten no food. Thank God we won. Suge Knight with the 5 gifted, baby. Army with that resub. All these subs going crazy, man. Thank you all for the support, the love, cheering us on, man. That was, I thought we were going to 4-0 the finals, and then we decide, Vince is like, let's play Hunter, and then we just lose fucking 3 in a row, and then everyone's all pissed off, everyone's all stressed, but we locked it down, ladies and gents, locked it down.